Previously on One Tree Hill.
Greetings, Starfighters. Welcome to Mad Science Films. I'm Jimmy P, filmmaker and sexual astronaut. First up, please, guys, check out our fourth feature film for free over on YouTube. Just search for Little Monster or click on the link in the show notes below. This episode, I'm joined by a very special guest and returning champion from last year, Mr. Jonathan Zaurin. We had a really, really good chat 14 months ago. It's absolutely mad to think it was that long ago. It doesn't seem that long ago. And that was just after you'd completed your first feature film. You'd screened it, and I think I rewatched the episodes again just to remind myself where we were in the timeline. You had just had it picked up by a distributor / sales agent. Now you're also in pre-production and fundraising for your new feature film, Derelict. So how has this experience of distribution influenced your plans overall for Derelict?
The first is we wanted to do crowdfunding because we felt that we could then be in a position where we don't have to worry necessarily about making a huge profit on the distribution of this film. So that means we would be free at the end to experiment, see how the markets work, see if we can make some money, see if we can't make some money, see what we can do better. You always have to go in this experimenting a little bit, trying things out, figure out how it works. Because although I say, well, we can cut the middleman, I've seen what they do, but I've not seen it inside. So I want to go inside, see how it works, see if we can do what they do. I think we can, but you have to
again, I think it helps with your experience of working with labels like Arrow and knowing the mechanisms that are there and the processes in place. That gives you a head start over a lot of other filmmakers. So absolutely, yeah, I don't think there's anything that a distributor would be looking for that you yourself wouldn't be able to provide directly.
When you, especially when you're an indie, you always call a lot of favors. You have to, and you don't want to run out of favors. And the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to run out of favors with investors, right? Because then you end up in a situation when you're like, well, now it's the third time that I didn't make you any money. At some point, they're going to say, nah, you know what, mate? We love you. We love your film. We're proud of it. But
not this time.
Carry on doing that, right?
Yeah.
So, well, you solve that in your mind. You go, okay, well, if we do a crowdfunding, we can offer people something in return for their money without the pressure of having to make a return for them. You can still make a return for your higher end investors, but it's not a huge pressure. So you can experiment with distribution. You can experiment with all this, and also you can afford to. That's going to sound weird, but you can afford to not think about your film too commercially. You go, well, you know what? I'll do exactly the film I want to make. So that's kind of why we decided to do it. And the other thing is that we wanted to step away from horror. For what I mentioned earlier, no offense to individuals, but I think any huge size culture ends up being dubious to me. I'm like, I don't know. I always considered myself kind of like a late punk. My dad was punk, and it's kind of like my part of my identity is like that. I don't like belonging in groups and being part of like mob mentality and all that stuff. So I guess that's where my problem with fan culture comes in as well. It's kind of like I have a problem with anything that becomes like a group mentality. I think individuality is the way to go. Individuality solves most problems because you don't have to agree with anything. You can agree with ideas. You don't have to look at politics these days. Part of it is it's run like football. Like the Tories can do anything they want. People will still vote Conservative because it's their team. And it's like, well, they've ran the country into the ground. Oh, well, yeah, but I always voted Tory. Well,
there you go.
For you.
Yeah.
But
I agree with you
because-
in terms of like, especially horror fandom, right? It's the most passionate, and that's a plus, and that's also a negative.
Yeah.
You know, if you're the most passionate, then you know that
If
can
you're
be
lucky,
great.
if you're lucky enough to be the chosen one in horror fandom, they will cheer for you forever. But if you're like Rob Zombie, I'm not sure what he thinks about horror fandom. I'm pretty sure he questions his own fandom at this stage, because he's like, oh, hang on a minute, you know. And I'm not saying I like Rob Zombie's films, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I just don't know why people have to be so vocal about shit they hate. Like, how about championing stuff you love? I thought that's what fandom was, and I don't see that anymore. So what we found with Wyvern Hill is that a lot of the people that loved it, there was a lot of horror fans that loved it, but a lot of the people that loved it were more like of the art house kind of crowd. And that's not
cinema in general. Yeah.
It's not incompatible. You can love art films and horror, which is my case, for example, you know, and a lot of people I know love it. It's not, and I guess that's what annoys me with again, please don't take this personally, anybody. I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about systems, right? I guess that's what annoys me with fandom of any kind, is that it's kind of restricts itself to being one thing. And I'm like, well, no, you know, I like to pick ideas from everywhere. I like to pick things from, which you can see in Wyvern Hill. Wyvern Hill is like a mix of weird things from all over the place. And that's what I like. That even politically and morally and all that, I like to pick things from everywhere.
What's really sad though is, you know, horror fans should know better, because you look at, you know, some of the films that we've talked about, you know, the horror classics like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you know, that pulls on documentary style filmmaking. So, you know, the filmmakers that they hold up on a pedestal, Wes Craven, George Romero, all of this, they pulled from all these other genres. They were fans of all these other genres. You know, Toby Hooper and his
but this is the other thing, is I think fandom has that tendency as well. Again, not the individuals. Let's agree. You know, I'm ready to take some shit for this, but fandom has a tendency to not understand the things that they're fans of. It's very strange, but it's true. You know, when you read shit about Lucio Fulci, the king of gore and all that, you go, well, yeah. But also, that's not really what Fulci was. Fulci was a surrealist, you know, and you never really hear that from fandom. You know, same for Wes Craven. There's that kind of raw realism, you know, and John Carpenter with his kind of classicism. That's not the thing that fandom talks about. Fandom knows every detail about everything, but then it tends to not understand. Which is why I love, again, working on you know, those video essays and stuff like that. It's the opposite. You get people who attempt to decipher things, understand where they're coming from, understand the context, understand all of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not trashing horror fans. Love individuals, don't love groups. That's just me. That's my kind of anarchist mind. Not a problem. I have no problem with anyone in particular. But we decided to step away from horror to go into something different with Derelict.
Is there a genre you can pin Derelict to then?
Honestly, it's kind of a tricky thing. It's kind of the closest thing that it would be is film noir. Like a neo noir.
I was getting crime revenge vibes from the trailers, but you know,
definitely. But it's kind of I worked the screenplay, the first few drafts anyway, and then Michael McKenzie rewrote recently, and Kat Tellinger is actually on the last few drafts. And the thing that we always discussed is that I never wanted it to slip entirely into genre. And you know, you do it yourself. You're writing and you have a scene and you, wouldn't that be cool if she was like, I'm a badass. And you go, yeah, but let's go away from this mentality and try and do something else. Not because I don't love genre. I love genre. I work with all those genre labels. Come on, you know, I absolutely adore genre. It's something. But because I feel like this is you have to always try and do something new. You have to try and motivate yourself to do something exciting. And for me, what was exciting was to play with that kind of film. It's very violent. It's very violent film noir, but I wanted to play with the idea of revenge in that not only I wanted to split the loyalties of the audience. Okay, who are they rooting for?
Yeah.
But I also wanted the revenge itself to be, I don't know how to put this without spoiling, but
Yeah.
to be kind of almost a pathetic attempt at revenge. It's not quite, because it's very sad. So it's not funny, but it's kind of unfinished and lame.
Definitely got those vibes from the trailer, which we'll stick links down there in the show notes. And I think in terms of selling the concept of the film, the trailer you've already put together is spot on.
What we really wanted from that trailer is we wanted to introduce the characters, and just through a few images, but it would have to be images that would get you guessing, but give you enough that you'd go, oh, I think I get what this. I think I get it.
And I think the way you did it very well in the trailer is when you introduce either a new character or an existing character in a relationship you hadn't pictured them in before, and the way you've done it is very artful, man. Very artful.
Thank you.
I can't wait.
I honestly we actually wrote a script especially for the trailer, and also it was the case that we were like 4 weeks before the crowdfunding, and we're like, I think we need more material. What should we do? And I was like, we should do a trailer. But the problem is then you have people that come from Manchester, from London, from the south coast, and you're like, okay, well, how do I get all these people within 3 weeks, and how do we shoot this within 3 weeks? Because usually you don't shoot a trailer, you just take bits from your film, right? So like, I need to write a trailer, I need to write it, and we wrote it, and then you get people that turn up on a 4 hours train journey, and they shoot for 10 minutes, and you put them back on the train. It's like, and I'm forever grateful to these people for stepping up like this. Nick and Suzanne and Dean and even Pete and Mike, even though they're local. You take their time and you go, okay, well, we need to do this, and it was very strange waiting for the sunset to hit just the right spot to just do that one shot.
That is a standout shot, man, an absolute standout shot. And it's one of those ones I did play a couple of times, like, how the fuck did he do that? And I think I've got it back, me.
To have the movement so that it's essentially as it passes the shoulder, that's where the transition to black and white is.
So you mentioned you've got a couple of co-writers this time around. So where did the idea originate? Was that with you, and then you collaborated with Michael and with Kat further on down the line?
It's inspired. I say that very carefully because it's inspired by a true crime.
Right. Okay.
Inspired. It's not the true crime.
It's a starting point for
the crime. It was something in my life that that happened in my hometown in France, and I was somehow very close to it, in some very weird links, which I can't really go into, but I got very close to it, and it was a while ago. It was even before I moved to the UK, so it must have been like 18, 19 years ago, but it never left. I was kind of appalled by it, and I thought it would make a very great starting point for a story. And I've been playing with it for, I don't know, maybe 5 years, trying to find the right tone, trying to find the right way of doing it. And the actual crime is two guys who basically tortured and murdered some poor old guy for his money, and it didn't have any. And it was I think the worst thing about it is the amount of times where the plan did go wrong and they could have stopped, and they didn't. They carried on. That to me was always the thing that was very important, and I always wondered how it worked. And so part of the story is that you follow them before the act. You see their relationship, the two brothers, and then you see the act. But that's kind of played along with the present days, where you follow the daughter of the guy who's been murdered, her life, and her desire for revenge. But strong desire that's getting stronger by the events that are happening, and eventually she decides to actually take a step in that direction. But so the way that we worked that is that I did a draft. I did when I say a draft, I mean 15. And then I contacted Michael Mackenzie, who's absolutely amazing writer. If you've never read Michael's novels, they are absolutely fantastic. He's got such an eye for detail, for plotting, for the way that stories work in the way that the cogs fit together, and then everything comes into place in the right moment, and he hits those right emotional keys and those right emotional points. And I contacted him and I said, Michael, I really, and obviously I have a working relationship with him at Arrow. Is my main guy essentially at Arrow. So, or I should say I'm his main guy, really. But anyway, and he said, I'm very busy, but I'd take a look. And so I sent him the script, and he was like, well, it's mostly positive for me. I have some notes, but it's mostly positive. So we discussed his notes. They were mostly about, I don't know how to put this, big details. I don't know if that makes sense.
Like,
there are things that...
Do you mean structural?
Yeah. I don't know if it's structural, but it's like, it's a big example was that there was a scene where the two brothers are in the car and they're about to go in this house to essentially the plan is that they're going to drug this guy, get his PIN number, get his money, get out. He'll wake up in the morning, he won't even remember. But the way that I painted the victim, Ben, is that he was very middle class, like classical music, big house, all that stuff. And for me, that was fine. I didn't feel the need to question it. But Michael looked at it and he went, "No, I have a problem with that." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "Well, I don't know in what world these two would actually know each other and would accept it and be like, yeah, this is a perfectly natural relationship for them to go in his house and they have a drink and whatever." I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. So we started thinking about that, and so he rewrote the character of Ben as someone who's much more of a self-made man, working class guy. So he would know people like his tormentor essentially, and that made sense. So that was one example. He rewrote some characters that he felt were repetitive or so now we have this kind of like very well-rounded screenplay with some really good dialogue, some really good characters. In fact, one of the characters so good, it's called Uncle Henry. One of the characters so good, we've now decided that if we can reach our target with our crowdfunding, we're also going to do a short film around this character to go with the feature.
Right. Nice.
Is that really everyone that's read the script was like, oh, Uncle Henry, that's a fucking amazing character. I want to know more about Uncle Henry. So we're like, well, okay, but the problem is then you throw your script out of balance because you kind of distract from, you already have you have a script that's split in two in terms of who the leading role is. So you've got Mike and you've got Suzanne, and both of them could be classed as leading roles. They all have their own story, they have their own timeline. Their path only crosses at the end, but the destiny is on a collision course essentially.
Yeah. And
so if you start throwing other characters in that mix that don't have to do with the direct story of these people, then you end up with something that kind of ends up feeling out of balance. So what we'll do is we're doing an entire short film around Uncle Henry that is a complement, but also its own thing as part of the thing. But anyway, so he rewrote all these things, and it's beautiful. It's really good. One of our main investors, whose name I promised not to mention, he got on board because we were going to do the Sunset Dogs, and he loved the Sunset Dogs. It was that kind of samurai movie, lots of actually.
Yeah, I think you and I have talked about Sunset Dogs. So just explain Sunset Dogs.
So the Sunset Dogs was a project we had before Derelict, where it was like a post-apocalyptic samurai movie set in a dystopian society where women were used as a means to reproduction because people were sterile, and so they were always looking for the mother of the world. Essentially, it was going to be too expensive.
Right. Yeah.
And what we were banking on on the success of Wyvern Hill, which we had in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Because the rug was pulled from under our feet, we're like, well, there's no way we can justify spending £100,000 on that, right? And £100,000, by the way, for people who don't know, that's nothing to make a film, especially not this type of film. So we kind of put it aside. But this particular guy really loved that script, and he'd already pledged some money. But when I sent him Derelict and I said, look, I don't think the Sunset Dog is going to happen, but Derelict is, it's probably our best option. It's much cheaper. It's kind of a drama. You don't have to fuck about with CG and shit like that. And he read it and he said, that's way too bleak for me.
See, now you're really selling it, man. Now I really
it's so bleak. Oh yeah, because I haven't got into that yet. But and so the point I was going to make about Michael. And actually, Michael, when I sent him the script, he'd read 30 pages and he was like, I said, Michael, it's a bit bleak, and he said, bleak? He said, I would actually call it relentlessly grim. That was what Michael McKenzie said. That was his words.
Poster quote.
Relentlessly grim, yeah. And it is. It's about people that are empty, unhappy, following a crash course that's kind of unavoidable and on their way to self-destruction, and and it's about drugs and abuse and violence, and the murder scene is just so brutal and violent, not necessarily in a gore way, but in a kind of this is cold and it's a harsh story. It's a very harsh story.
Yeah.
But so with the whole rewriting that Michael did, I managed to get this guy back on board. And when he read the script, he said, yeah, it's still a very harsh story, but it feels very, very rounded now. It is a harsh story. And to go into that, yes, it's a very bleak film. I guess in a way that's the horror part that's left. Like, it's not a horror film by traditional standards, but it goes into some horrific.
Yeah, so tonally it's going into the horror
bleak. Yeah. I can promise that. It's not going to be gory. There's not going to be a lot of action, but it is bleak as it gets. Depressingly so. And with I'm hoping that the black and white will soften that impact a little bit as well. So it might make it worse in a way.
I was going to say, I noticed from the trailer, is it going to be partially black and white, partially color, all black and white? Excellent
question. So it's 50-50. Essentially, the way that the story is articulated, we worked it in the script so that it's 5 chapters. Chapter 1 is Abigail. Chapter 2 is Matt and Ewan. Chapter 3 is the plan. Chapter 4 is the crime. Chapter 5 is the wrath. And so the things that happen in each chapter, the things that happen to Abigail, kind of are mirrored in what happens with Matt and Ewan, all the way through to that middle point. And what happens is you have Abigail who's in black and white because the color has been sucked out of her life. Matt and Ewan are in color. But as they kill her father, the color gets drained out of the film on their own story. So then by the time you get back in the present and it's about Matt and Abigail, they're both in black and white. But as she goes closer to her revenge and she discovers what she actually needs isn't exactly what she wants, the color comes back into her life in a sense.
Interesting. It feels like, I don't know if you're aware of it, I haven't seen it myself, but there was a cut of
Sympathy for Lady Vengeance.
That's the one, yes, where it slowly drains. So beautiful. was that the inspiration?
That was definitely an inspiration.
How did Kat get involved and at what stage?
Okay, yeah, sorry.
Why were you bringing her in?
Yeah. So Kat what I was keen for, Kat is an astonishing writer. I've edited so many of her essays, and it's always, and I have the pretension, I don't know if it's pretension, I have the pretension of being fairly knowledgeable about film. I've seen quite a lot of stuff, I always learn something editing Kat's essay, and you don't have to agree with her, by the way. A lot of people don't, but it's always a very intelligent, coherent thought process that you can follow, and that, to me, that's good writing. I don't care that someone can write a beautiful line of dialogue. That's not good writing. What good writing is when you can get involved in a story and you don't see the cogs, but they are turning and you don't pay any attention, and it's taking you logically, slowly.
Pure storytelling.
Right.
Yeah.
And Kat has that in her essays. When you watch one of her essays, she starts one way, she goes into the context, and by the time you reach the end, you don't have to agree with her, but you can't deny that it makes absolute sense. Yeah. And I love that. So that was the first thing. I thought, okay. And Michael, I knew, had an eye for plot, and he had an eye for detail and for structure. But the other thing about Kat is that it is a film about 60% of the film is about a female character. Now, as a male writer, both me and Michael, we can try our best, and Michael's probably even better than I am. But you can try your best, but you're not a woman. At the end of the day, that's just a fact. And what I was keen for Kat is for her to bring that expertise in storytelling and logic and how to develop this storytelling, but also bring a different voice. Because all of a sudden you get someone that, the other thing is, she knows about the meaning of films. Like, that's literally her job. She deciphers films all the time. And what I was keen for is that we didn't make a film that unwillingly said something we didn't want to say. And so with all her qualities, with all her talents, with all her feminist views as well, I wanted her to bring all of that to the table, write a little bit, see if she had some ideas for scenes, see if she had some ideas for the character to make her real. Because, like I said, we tried as much as possible. Again, no insult to genre films. I'm absolutely a huge fan of genre films. We tried as much as possible for it not to be a pure genre film. We wanted characters that could feel real. Kind of like if Shane Meadows made, a revenge thriller in a way, which he did.
He kind of did, yeah.
Again,
one of his best films.
Absolutely. But the reason I kind of took Dead Man's Shoes out is because I meant it in a traditional film noir way. If Shane Meadows made a kind of traditional film noir, neo noir, that would be. Whereas he went, yeah, fuck it. I'll take the codes of this revenge thing and I'll just do a social realism film.
Exactly. Yeah, he didn't borrow like the stylistic traits of that genre. No. He did it in his very own Shane Meadows style. Yeah.
And another huge influence for me is La Haine. Obviously, Mathieu Kassovitz, La Haine. I absolutely adore this movie, and I was reading a thing recently where there was a thing because Romain Gavras made that Athena movie for Netflix, and largely produced it or wrote parts of it and all that. And they were talking that these guys were the children of La Haine. We all grew up on La Haine in France. Yeah. And I'm like, actually, come to think of it, I stopped counting how many times I've seen La Haine. And for me, it was important that some of these characters felt real and that they felt working class and that they felt that they came from a place of someone who knows. So I'm working class, I know, but I'm not British working class. Right, so my experience is French working class. And there are cultural differences, whether we want it or not. Yeah. And I was keen for someone else to look at this and go, as someone who's like British working class, I think this would be more like this. This would be more like this. As someone who's a woman, I think this character would say it that way, or she would behave that way instead. I think it's, you can't. While I agree that it's the writer's duty and job to put themselves in other people's mind, I think you can do if you're really talented and you're great and all that. Lots of people do. I mean, you've got some superb writers that write female characters or black characters or gay characters or whatever, people that have different experiences from them and they can write them. But I don't think you can trump authenticity. Like there is never a point where you can advocate against it, and that's what I was keen about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to be honest, man, that sounds really exciting in terms of the way you're working with each of them and their skill sets that you've identified, but through you then as the filmmaker. So again, if nothing else, making me even more excited for the project, dude. Can't wait.
It's honestly, I'm so excited to be doing it. I think it's gonna be such an interesting thing, like I said, that Shane Meadows thing. I love Shane Meadows, really, I do. But I think that Anton Bittel called me a mannerist the other day, and I'm like, yeah, actually, that would be how I would define myself, because I love the mannerism of cinema and the stylistic aspect of cinema. And so if you take that social realism that we're after and the kind of raw aspect of the story, and as you've seen in the trailer, and then I bring my style to that, I think we could potentially create something that isn't really done at the moment anyway.
I mean, again, perhaps I'm speaking out of ignorance more than anything else, but I feel like with horror, because often horror will play with paranormal elements or psychological elements, there's more scope to be more experimental from a stylistic point of view. Whereas if you're looking more, say, towards the crime or rape, revenge, or those kind of genres, let's just bracket it all under crime genres. There's often less opportunity and less times that it's done. That's not to say it hasn't been done.
No.
I mean, there's some mental crazy 70s Japanese stuff I absolutely love, which is completely fucking gonzo.
Yeah.
But I absolutely think you're right. I think especially here today where we are, you're not seeing that level of experimentation or stylistic pushing at the boundaries. And I definitely got that from the concept trailer.
Well, that's cool. I don't have the pretension of being a revolutionary, a visionary director or anything like that, but I do. I think it's to do with. I mean, if you look at the history of cinema, I don't think there's much that we can do that hasn't been done, really. If you want to look at it that way. But what you can do is you can mix and match now. You can kind of take ideas here and ideas there, and a stylistic choice here, and place it with something there, and eventually you find a recipe that's kind of wouldn't say entirely new, but that's kind of unique. Right? Unique kind of flavor.
And again, what you've got to think about is the audience. It might be new to them, in which case, your film's now going to be the gateway drug to all these other fantastic films.
I'd love that.
Absolutely.
And I think obviously you get one of the things that's interesting is to try and go against the times. Because not because you don't like the times, what you're saying, but because when you live in the times, you necessarily get 50 films that all look the same in one particular genre, 50 horror films that all have the same jump scare from that year, and if you kind of go, well, actually, I'm going to do it in a way that people are telling me not to do it. So black and white's a big deal, for example. People go, black and white, which is true. Look,
again, that was a massive criticism I heard at the time for La Haine. It was like, pretension, I was like,
it's difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult because as well, distributors aren't as excited about distributing black and white for a start, and audiences aren't necessarily more excited about black and white.
I mean, I think we've established fuck distributors.
Yes, so far, definitely. But you want to trust that your audience, will see the black and white and go, actually, I don't, because I never understood that weird thing of how black and white is the past. Now we have color. Well, no, actually, it means now you have options. You have options to do color. You have options to do black and white. You have options to do both. You have options to do black and white with red. You have options to do black and white with green. If you want, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Do you know what though? I'm not sure really that exists out in the wild. I don't think audience members think that. I think that's an excuse made by by distribution companies.
I think you're right.
And I think it's the exact same thing. I remember being in a talk with Graham Humphreys, the poster artist, giving about it, and the decline in painted poster art, and know he was told by distributors, oh yeah, no, we're not doing that anymore. We're doing the floating heads because people, if they see a painted poster, they'll think it's an animated film. I'm like, I'm not sure that holds up to any sort of reality at all. I think that is an excuse for you, as you said earlier, to use the interns who you pay, £5 an hour, or you not pay at all, to come up with something on Photoshop that takes a lunch break.
Yeah,
I think that's the excuse. So
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
No, but also for me, for all my criticism of fandom and all this stuff, I always bank on audience intelligence. So
there is enough intelligence audience out there. Not everybody, because everybody watches movies, and there are some fucking idiots out there. But I think there's enough intelligence audience out there to turn indie films profitable.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think I think so. And you talk about painted posters. We did a painted poster for that one. And
Absolutely.
it's like because that's
represents the film in a still image in a beautiful way,
right.
And it makes you want to know more. And isn't that the job of a poster? Whereas the typical Girls on the Dirty 90 poster that we've all seen, I feel like
it isn't the film. It isn't the film.
Yes, firstly, it's not representative of the film, but also as an audience member, I feel I've seen that film and I didn't like it. So why would I watch another film like that? Yeah. So absolutely shooting themselves in the foot.
And I think there's something to be said for taking your audience seriously and taking your film seriously and taking your work seriously and taking pride in your work and trying to do everything as best as you can do it. And I think and I'm glad you liked that trailer. It was a lot of work. It was hard work, and everything was carefully thought out and crafted, and just to give the right impression of the film. And if you like the trailer, you're going to love the film, because it's exactly what the film is going to be like.